Greetings, I am Lies and I use she, her.
And I am Scandal and I use they, them.
And let's play a game together! Welcome back aboard, and it's easier once he takes my hands, stroking his thumbs over mine, and starts some deep breathing.
Yeah, so we wouldn't be hyperventilating, we would just be breathing.
Yes, slow breathing. Deep breathing is usually slow.
Yeah.
Relaxation washes over me. Muriel's crunching footsteps register as he comes to stand, energy neutral. He comes to stand, energy neutral.
He comes to stand where? That feels like there's something missing there. Like,
Comes
to stand nearby?
Comes to stand next to us?
Next to us?
Yeah, I was gonna say, comes to stand with us as well?
Deep breathing with us? Muriel stands with you.
Muriel, I am also stressed. I will deep breathe. I feel that energy neutral going, I detect his energy and pay attention to it. You haven't described his energy very much, only his, attitude.
Yeah,
so this is new. It's fine.
It's fine.
I'm sorry.
What?
You're taking them in. They're going into, I assume, the other realm with you. He comes up here to cast his runes and goes in somewhere. Except because he doesn't do it just at the top of the mountain. He uses the mountain. So what you're saying is not, he goes up there to cast runes. What you're saying is, he goes up there to enter another world where he reads fortunes.
Right.
That is entirely different in my mind. You are doing this at the top of the mountain, or the top of the mountain is a doorway, are different things.
Yes, that's not the same.
You're taking them in.
I need to ask my mentor some questions. And I think it's time that they meet.
He looks deep into my eyes, holding my hand secure. His aura, pulsing outward in waves, is beautiful. I have forgotten about Muriel at all, and describing him in his proximity.
You are beautiful. Try not to be fearful, Koi. We'll be together the whole time.
Asra, didn't Muriel come up here to do something, and now he's not doing it? So are we just taking this over? Will he still do what he needs to do?
Anyway, I'm going to do a tower reading. I'm going to sort the cards into the air.
Okay.
And Muriel will be watching over us on the physical plane. His aura is strongest when he casts.
Wait. So he's going to be casting runes while we are in the other plane, while he watches over us?
What?
So that makes him better at protecting us because a stronger aura somehow shields us from the outside world or in the inside world?
This is really confusing. It sounds like they're talking about several different things at once and they're not really being clear about which things they're talking about. Also, it sounds like they're being incredibly contradictory.
There's a level here that I'm going, Muriel goes up the mountain to do something for himself. Asra follows and says, I also need to do something too.
Yes.
And then he says, Muriel will support me doing what I'm doing by possibly doing what he was going to do, but for my benefit.
Even though
that's
what he was doing was literally just for himself and only had to do with throwing stones on the mountain. It wasn't, we're going to go to the top of the mountain and go into a magical gateway and then he's going to throw the runes there. Yeah, no, apparently it's just us going into the gateway, but he knows what it is. Maybe he's never gone with Asra into the gateway and he's jelly. I have no clue. He said neutral. They said neutral or... Sorry, we aren't able to perceive how he feels about it. Yeah, because we don't care right now. We're just like, Asra! Yep, just Asra. Nothing else. Hello? Alright. When he casts. When he casts. I assume cast the runes, maybe? Possibly? I look at Muriel. His strength doesn't seem like a concern. In reference to what? Protecting our bodies? Watching over our bodies? What's the danger to our bodies out here? What the fuck does that mean? I look at Muriel. His strength doesn't seem like a concern. I'm not worried that he's going to attack us with that strength. What does that fucking mean? I'm not concerned that he's so strong for either good or bad things. I guess? That's my problem too. I'm like, doesn't seem like it's a concern. So remember how I said that, this seems weirdly like they're talking about several different things at once and I cannot keep straight what the hell they're talking about? This also feels very strange because Kohai has described Muriel in detail several times. Yes! And has described him as huge and hulking and powerful. Why is Kohai reassessing his strength, power, and or build? And then going, it doesn't seem like a concern. Which doesn't suggest, we should be worried about it. It seems like if you're going to be watching over us, I guess you'll be strong enough to do it, is kind of what I get. Except that his strength specifically is not a concern. But Asra said nothing about his strength.
Nope.
Other than just going, he's the strongest when he casts, which I'm still going, what the fuck does that have to do with...
His aura is strongest, so are we looking at his aura when we say his strength? His oral strength doesn't seem a concern?
I don't know, I'm baffled.
I don't know.
I'm just saying, grammatically, none of this makes sense right now. I am so confused, this feels very abstract.
Kohai looks at Muriel, checks him out thoroughly, head to foot. Seems okay. That's what happened.
He's good.
So we played this game, we played When the Night Comes. And the way they introduce characters is they pan up the character and like down them, or to show. No,
they pan all the way down up.
Yeah, they pan from the bottom all the way up on every character you meet.
And I felt very much
primary character.
Like I was involved in extreme male gaze. I don't know how to explain it. Like so, there's okay. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, there is a concept. There's a film, basically a way of looking at film that talks about basically how film is shot typically and how it is structured. So like the literal lens, what you see on the camera is thought to be done from a quote male-oriented gaze or perspective.
Yep.
So whenever you have those long panning shots, particularly of assumed cis women who are supposed to be incredibly sexual, basically are very attractive, that's why you have those long panning shots, because it's an assumed male heterosexual audience that's going to be interested in them.
Right.
So it's done with the intent of going, yes, this thing, which I've also thought is really funny sometimes, because you're sitting there watching and you're like, dude, this is completely out of place and seems really odd for them to suddenly go, and now spice. And you're like, we were just having an intense drama. What the fuck are you doing?
So, there's actually a really cool example of it in Mad Max Fury Road.
Yes.
Where the first time Mad Max sees, and you'll know what they are if you've seen the movie, the brides.
Yeah.
There is a very brief moment of male gazing.
Yeah.
Where they're all presented in this sort of softer light as very pretty, delicate, objectified things.
Yep.
And then immediately his vision clears and they become people.
Yes.
And they remain people for the rest of the movie, and it's really cool.
Uh-huh.
And I say people versus objects, not here. Like when you're objectified, you're not a person.
Yeah, so the male gaze is tended to be seen as something that's very objectifying. Mm-hmm. You're basically breaking someone down to their physical features, going, look how sexy.
Anyway, so basically we decided that in When the Night Comes, basically our main character just ogles everyone thoroughly. So the minute they meet them, we're like, okay, time to ogle you aggressively? Measure you up based on your physical features? Okay, now I'm ready to. What did you say?
Oh, I'm sorry.
What?
I am here for this.
Yes, okay. Doesn't seem like a concern.
All you should have to do is close your eyes, breathe deep, and empty your mind.
It's very hard to get you out of my mind. I will do my best.
Especially with you holding my hand still.
And directing me.
Yeah.
I close my eyes and ignore the proximity of Asra. Soon, as I also ignore the contact of Asra, the world starts to fall away. Everything but the rhythmic sound of stones, which I assume come from Muriel tossing stones around, because I don't know when that sound would have appeared. And we haven't described what he's doing or that he's doing anything at all. And so when he's casting, did we walk up there and he was rolling stones repeatedly like rolling dice, and we just didn't mention it. And then he's like, when he's casting, which is what he's actually actively doing now, he is the most orifically powerful. Orifically? For aura.
Oral?
No.
Because that's auditory.
You have oral for the mouth, oral for the ears.
Yeah.
The oral, I don't know how to conjugate.
I don't know how to do it either. I'm also really confused here, because based on my understanding of how you cast runes, if you're looking for an answer, you don't continually toss them over and over and over and over and over again.
He's playing 20 questions with the universe, and so he's casting it and getting another answer. 42 questions and getting another answer and getting another answer. And he's trying to narrow it down. Is it bigger than a bread box? Wait, what is a bread box? Okay.
This is, I have to say, this is really
the
baffling.
rhythmic sound of stones. I'm like, when did stones come into it? Also, we've never once indicated that Muriel is one rolling stones like dice, or handling or using stones in any way. So where is the rhythmic sound of stones coming from? And when Asra says, when he's casting, does that mean he was actively then, or he is now? And we assume casting.
He was casting actively when he walked over to stand next to us. He started walking around us and making crunching noises, and that's the rhythmic sound of stones.
I guess.
Because he's walking while he's casting.
I say, walks toward you. You hear the sound of crunching and clattering stones because he keeps throwing runes at the ground while he's walking like a breadcrumb trail.
Got it. I don't know.
Has a giant backpack of rune stones, just drops a few here and there.
Oh my god.
I don't know.
This is just very silly. Like, this lacks a lot of cohesion and comprehension in my brain.
A lot of, like distinctive details.
Yes.
Hitting the gravel, fingers scraping them up, tossing them again, the warmth of the hands holding mine. My mind is no longer empty because I'm thinking of Asra, and I'm also thinking of an action Muriel is doing that I did not think of this entire time.
And then also...
Nor notice when it started.
Yeah, I was about to say, like...
Also, casting stones... Okay, so this feels very much like when they like when they've demonstrated a tarot reading where you pull one card and you listen to it talk.
Yeah.
And instead of casting stones and then reading the answer you get... You just roll them over and over and over again, like, you know, basically using a Ouija board, maybe?
Oh, you know what it reminds me of? Okay, you're going to have to excuse me. If you've never seen this movie,
go for it.
Too bad for you. So the way that they treated the alethiomometer in... Alethiometer, thank you, in the Golden Compass movie. Where, okay, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's just called the Golden Compass. In there's an object where this girl uses it to obtain answers. Now, the way that it was presented in the book, because there's a whole book series, actually, she had to
trilogy, in fact.
It's very vague. She doesn't have specific answers, right? But in the movie, they just give her specific fucking answers, and she can just figure out things, like, no questions asked whatsoever.
In the book, it was very much like someone, you know, sort of telling your fortune from major signs and indications in your life. And going, there's something important to know about these major concepts and about this particular person, what have you.
Right.
And, or, you know, it's the watch out for the, you know, the watch out, guard your heart, it's in danger kind of thing. And you meet a man in a heart mask, you know, kind of thing. Anyway, and in the movie, it's like, it gives you a sentence and you read it.
Yeah, exactly.
Written in emoji.
Yeah, and it was really frustrating, because I had actually really enjoyed the first book.
I liked it a lot.
It was very interesting. But then, so like, what I'm hearing is, again, that same concept, and that really disappoints me, because I'm still just like, you could have so much more of an intense, involved thing with the tarot, with the runes. Like, this just feels sort of cheap.
We know nothing about how rune casting works in here, so since there is no exposition of it being a distinctive action from the real world in here, you have to apply whatever you understand from the real world. So the important thing in fiction, and I'll cover this again and again because it is really important, is if you're going to use a standardized name for what you consider to be your real world normal reality, but it means something different than what you've been exposed to or what the standard definition is, you have to tell the audience, because otherwise they won't know. Like if you say a horse and then you describe with vibrant butterfly wings and grasping talons, clearly your horse is something different.
So,
and the reader can learn that.
Right, and I was actually going to say, so there's an example of that in Brandon Sanderson series, one of his, where he talks about dogs.
Oh, dogs.
Or also talks about grass. But the thing is over time, you start getting the impression that these are not dogs in the sense that we think of here's your little puppy with his googly brown eyes and brown body, and it's got the little soft tail and the waggly, and the long floppy ears.
Paws and beans.
Yeah, exactly. Paws and beans. These are like freaking like crab monsters.
These are crustacean things.
These are crustacean thingies.
Well,
like
and the thing
lobsters.
is like with the grass, you find out very early it's a different kind of grass without any specific descriptions because it hides when you try and eat it.
Which is really funny.
It's deeply charming. And then someone's like at one point going, this is pet grass. It doesn't hide when you try to pick or eat it. You mean it's stupid grass?
I remember the characters just being like,
so the grass is down?
Lame. Yeah, it's just gonna die.
Yeah, it's gonna... No, you're gonna take care of it and keep it as a pet. Okay, but it's stupid grass. Anyway,
it's really funny.
So I don't know what he's doing here with casting again and again, but everything that I know about rune casting, you don't repeatedly grab and roll and grab and roll. You don't even
need
do that.
To read.
You don't even do that with dice throws, where you grab and roll 10 die and then grab and roll 10 die and grab. You have to read them and interpret what happens to your character. Anyway, or in a scenario.
I'm just like, this is weirdly
the warmth
frustrating.
of the hands holding mine. So clearly rune casting means something different in here. Look, we're back.
Hey.
It's like I've only just closed my eyes. And I'm here.
Yay!
It's as dazzling as I remember.
Still
I
pretty.
deeply want someone in one of the routes to mention the cute little six-legged things.
Yes.
Like they're drawn in like 3 different illustrations, at least 2. But I think they're in 3. And nobody talks about them. I want somebody to mention them somewhere.
Yes. Because there has to be a version of the apprentice that has never freaking seen them before.
Right?
And it sounds like also we haven't really seen it before either. So we could be like, oh my god, there's tiny little white creatures skittering around on many legs. Like, that's it. That's all you need.
I was going to say, or even if they have seen them and know what they are and read about them in books, they could go, oh my god, I love those. I love those little lizard boys.
But that would be defining your character for you. So that's one of the things, again, that I'm frustrated about.
I'm excited to see those little lizard boys.
Yeah.
Even if I don't like them and have no opinions about them, it gives me feelings to see them.
Or you just go, I see little tiny white skittering lizard things.
They're a different color in the forest, though. They're not white.
No, I know that. But I'm just like, you could say it like that, so that doesn't give you an experience at all.
But on the other hand, you get experiences frequently, so that...
Right?
It's as dazzling as I remember. Asra watches my reaction and leads me to the edge of the gently growing and shrinking water. It's not just lapping at the shore. It's much like in a cartoon where it gets bigger and smaller. I don't know what a cartoon is. What?
It's so weird to see you in here. I can't get over it.
You've seen me here once before.
It's still important. Like, okay. It's still an experience for me.
I recognize that.
Okay, cool.
It's a little jarring for me to go from sitting outside of here to standing in here. Because when I start to walk, my brain still thinks I need to stand up. But it's okay.
It's fine. You trip, fall off.
Tries to stand up when you're already standing, gets confused.
Oh my god. Okay, I've done stupid stuff like that before. I'm like, I'm just gonna... Why did I just think that? I was pretty young when I made this gateway. It's a little juvenile.
So you built this gateway as a child and have never altered it?
You're kidding, because your mind has never altered. The way that this thing was described was that it was a reflection of your inner self.
No, but we're not talking about the place, we're talking about the gateway.
Yeah, but, like, what's the gateway?
The gateway is apparently what we sat down to stand in.
But what I'm literally hearing is going, I was young when I made this gateway. And I'm like, but you said that the gateways themselves are literally reflections. This area is, like, it might not be how he described it initially, but these areas are literally the thing that reflects your inner self.
So I guess this one is frozen in time as reflecting your younger inner self. That's but still your inner self.
No, but that's an older self.
No, but that's what I mean. If you assume that you exist in all the moments you exist,
okay.
Each one of those things that has an inner self,
God, could you imagine?
Still your inner self. It's just your past inner self, your future inner self, your current inner self. Still, literally, your inner self, just with a qualifier.
But do you know how interesting that would be to be like, I can know exactly who I was?
I can create a crystallized memory of what I liked and what I cared about at that time.
That would be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You would have such a... So the thing is you need to understand, a lot of the human mind tends to be very flexible in that way, because there are things that come into prominence and other things that slide off, right? Things, we change, right? And then even things you go, oh, I remember what this is. There's still plenty of things you really don't remember. Like, you're like, I wasn't remembering exactly what I was wearing. Like, you'll remember a few probably key details, but for the most part, most people really don't remember the whole scenario. So having something like this, where you're like, this is exactly what I like. This is exactly all the things that, and it just continues to exist without degradation, without shifting, without any of it. You would be like, I have such a clear awareness.
So one of the interesting things is that basically defines a little bit further what my friend is talking about is if you've ever kept a journal or written things down about what you thought or what you felt or what your ideas were.
Or done a video journal or done a vocal one.
Any kind of a record of you talking about your opinions, ideas, and interests.
Right.
And then you look at it 5, 10, 15 years later or read it. There's frequently the experience of people going, God, I can't remember feeling that way at all.
Yeah.
Now, you'll remember parts of it and go, oh my God, I totally did love that character. Oh my God, I was completely into this fad. And then there will be something where you're like, I don't ever remember being sad about that. Like, and it's like, sometimes if something is really, really intense in the moment, but not substantial in reference to who you become, you can actually just lose access to the feeling. And it's not a bad thing. It's just go back again and read and going, did I really worry about that as a kid?
Right?
Because you don't have a connection to it anymore. Anyway, it would be really interesting to go and I look at this particular plant and then I can access the emotional state I was in back then.
Yeah, like I think that would be fascinating. Honestly, I think that's actually one of the reasons why I like recorded media so much. So the thing is like when I was younger, I always tried to keep a journal. And I was always really bad at it. But it's been really interesting with my friend and I have mentioned this before, where it's really neat to kind of have the videos that we do, because a lot of the things we talk to each other about, like...
And the specific conversations we have never been saved in any way except here on YouTube.
Yeah, and it's kind of wild.
And going back and listening to like what we sounded like and how we played off of each other and what we did earlier in our videos versus now, and also some of the conversations we've had together is really fascinating. Also, you can see a level of us progressing into different different focuses and different things we find important at different times as we've been exposed to different things over the years we've been on YouTube.
Yeah.
At any rate, juvenile.
Little juvenile. I did poke you. Hello?
Our first Let's Play is so disorganized, it's amazing. We did not know what we were doing.
Nope, not even slightly. No two magicians imagine it exactly the same. I really wonder what yours will be like.
Well, if I design it now, it will probably be like I am now.
What it will be like is Asra.
Everything...
Everywhere there is some form of Asra.
What I would like to know, actually, is now that I'm in here, are my clothes any different, or am I still just wearing your scarf and your coat?
Am I still naked?
Mostly naked. I'm going to bring up that plot point until they mention a change of clothes.
Because we're still
nude.
happen. This is going to happen.
And he's not wearing the rest of his clothes in here, so he didn't change.
Well, come on in. Don't be shy.
You just walked me to here, so I have already come? To where you have brought me?
Honestly, I would be a little bit confused, because I would be like, I'm already literally in the middle of it as I was last time. What is going in?
Do you mean go into the water? I feel like I'm in. You also have walked me over to here?
I'm in.
Hacker voice. I'm in. He takes 2 steps into the water. Not in here. In the water. Up to shins and waits. I look down my arm to our joined hands. Then back up. Because apparently I do not like this. When I take the first step, I feel effervescence. A few more steps, and my whole body is aglow. Wait, I back up.
But why?
And as I back up, I take the first step backwards, I feel effervescent. And I take a few more steps backwards, and my whole body begins to glow. My whole lower body. What? Hang on. We were walking backwards. We take a step backwards.
Asra looks at us from where he's still holding our hand.
Where he's a little bit in the water. We look down at our hands and step backwards, and then it describes the steps we're taking.
Yes.
Which would be still going backwards.
Or did they literally just skip it going, I back up once.
And then walk forward.
And then I reassess whatever I apparently needed to reassess, and then I just walk forward again.
Because really it's like, I back up. When I take the first step, describing backing up, I feel effervescence. A few more steps, still backing up. Asra leans over really hard, still trying to hold her hand. My whole lower body is aglow. It sounds like they just skipped the fact that we then started walking forward.
Yes. What?
I'm really confused about that. Like, that sounds like it would be an important thing of I back up and then move forward. I hesitate and then move forward, something like that. I get my footing better. I'm not sure what they were going for with it. I back up and now I'm walking into the water. Unless I'm walking backwards into the water?
I genuinely don't know either.
Okay,
I'm
glowing
really
body.
baffled right now.
We're going all the way in, I realize. Asra laughs softly at my expression.
I would like to know what my expression is.
Me too.
Like, what am I actually feeling right now? Am I surprised?
Am I excited? Am I curious? Am I confused? But the thing is if they're trying to be generic, as they often do, even though sometimes they really, really don't, it's your expression can be whatever emotion you think you would be having, except they usually then define it afterwards by telling you a behavior of being scared or being surprised or being worried.
Or they tell you what everybody else is feeling as well. And again, as we've indicated, typically with someone who is very young, and they really only existed around a few people, and in this case, really one person, you're going to primarily take a lot of your cues from basically the person that you consider to be in charge. And then even if, Asra's still not your master, he still acts that way. So you're taking your reactions from him.
Certainly a mentor figure. In all ways.
Yes.
Okay. So he laughs at my expression.
If you want, you'll be able to breathe. But there's no need. You'll just drown anyway.
Because you won't be underwater afterwards. We are into our chests. Water moving around us. Flowing between us. And starting to take on the color of our auras, which I have not mentioned this entire time. His aura, I said, was lovely. But I said it outside of this world. And can I see my own aura? I would love to know.
Ready? Here we go.
Do I need to hold my breath? I remember the breathe underwater spell. Do I need that? The roiling water, which I thought was calm, rushes soundlessly around my ears as we dunk.
Roiling is really aggressive.
Roiling is like whitewater rafting.
Yeah, roiling is like a step from boiling. So like it's burbling, it's active, it's like
it's crazy active. It's like gushing and pouring and roaring.
Why would I not mention it until now that the water was starting to freak out? Because that would be a thing to notice.
The pond is getting bigger and smaller, roiling with activity. The whole thing is just splashing and bursting and boiling and having an impressive fast current through it.
Does that look like
or
a gateway?
You go down gently into the water, which creates incredible movement and makes it move really quickly into beats it up into a roiling state, but nonetheless makes no noise as you gently scoot into the water. Whoop.
Okay.
What's really funny is they say soundlessly as my around my ears as we dunk, and they literally had a water sound effect of us whooshing under.
I know!
So not only does the visuals disagree with the descriptions, but it also disagrees with the sound profile, which I think is hilarious. And I'm like, maybe all of them are true at once because it's a dream.
Maybe.
And in a dream, you could have, like, I'm driving, and I'm a passenger, and I'm at school.
It's an access way to the Arcana's realm, and we've mentioned how, like, the dream logic seems to apply there, because otherwise a lot of the stuff is just like, what?
What's going on? So, yeah, but roiling is an interesting choice because that is incredibly aggressive water.
Yes.
That's very, very active water. Like, a rolling boil is roiling water.
Yeah.
Like, that's the activity of it, and boiling is what it's doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Nothing at all. The next thing I know is the sensation of rushing forward, out of a sparkling wave, onto a wide pink beach.
I really have to say
that looks blue.
It looks incredibly blue. One of the things I still like about this is that this very much reminds me of a photo, which I wouldn't be surprised if it was used as a reference. Use references, artists, it really helps.
Totally wonderful.
But there is an actual beach that you can go to, and I think there are probably several, where you can actually see basically glowing algae.
The bioluminescent
algae. And that looks like this, and it's so goddamn cool.
It makes a coastline in the dark much like this.
Yes,
it's really cool.
So pretty. Like, wow.
Out of a sparkling wave onto a white pink beach.
Covered in blue lights.
Do not get to see the pink.
No.
And I'm not going to tell you the water is glowing or that there's anything like that, but pink.
And also that the sky is dark?
Galaxies arch above me. For a horrifying moment, I think I'm alone, because I don't have a hand anymore. I look to my side. Asra is there. The curves of his face glowing in the shifting light of galaxies? Question mark? But I don't feel his hand in mine. Though I would ask, do galaxies create a shifting light? Are they all moving aggressively?
Okay, so
actively swirling across the sky.
So I have to tell you a thing.
It's okay. The
only galaxies really can't move that fast.
It's okay. These are
and
fake.
Also fake galaxies. Also, the other thing is that light takes light years to reach us. And I know this is the Arcana. I just find it to be very funny. People are like, these are galaxies. How the fuck do you know what a galaxy is?
Here's a question. That's a really good one. What is our level of science to say that we know not only what stars are and that they out there beyond our planet, but that we know what galaxies are? I think it took a while for people to figure out that galaxies were a thing, because even the solar system took a while to figure out.
Except that,
stars weren't so bad, because, really did people go, no, these are not just things up there. They're way the hell out there.
Depending on what you're talking about. So, for example, them knowing that the Earth is round has been a thing that they knew for hundreds of years.
Thousands of years.
Just long-ass time, right? And the whole period where it was suddenly, this weird thought to go that it's flat was a new stupid thing.
Was a new idea.
And it had to do a lot with also trying to control people.
Yes.
Right? And it was a dumb thing. But the big thing, and also it was a lot of the rise of the theory, basically, in relation, I think, to God, if I remember correctly, particularly in Christian civilizations, because they started going, well, the sun rotates around the Earth because God would put us at the center of the universe. And also it's fact. Because, we're all here on the specific side. I don't know.
Because he created a ground. I don't even know that one.
Yeah,
I'm actually not familiar enough with flat earthing to know exactly how it goes.
It's fine. It's dumb. But I'm curious because as far as I know, they've had several different societies who have charted large parts of our solar system before we did. And they actually so there are even a couple of very large, what we call in our modern day science, and I say NASA modern day United States, we actually call large meteors.
Yeah.
But they actually labeled as planets. So they know exactly, for the most part, what was going on. But the whole galaxy thing is weird.
But within our solar system, I was going to say, the galaxy thing, I think, came later, because you have to see a lot farther, as far as I understand that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
I don't know either.
The fact that we know about galaxies suggests a lot of education on our part.
Which is...
And I kind of love that, but I would love to know more about it.
What if the Arcana talk to people about it? But that's the other thing, too. Like, my brain is like, there's so many interesting goddamn things about the Arcana. If they are literally connected to your reality and they are a part of it, and they're also separate from it, you could literally ask them questions, and they have different education that they can give you based on who basically you align with, right?
Question.
Answer.
Is part of the reason magicians seem so incredibly magical and mysterious and amazing because they literally have science knowledge about the world that no one else has, magically imparted via the Arcana, and they never had to do the science to gain it.
Maybe?
And then any scientists that investigate hard enough go, oh my god, these things are true, but you just knew them.
Mm-hmm.
And so a magician could go and get you a bigger piece of information, much like a mathematician can solve a problem if they know what they're aiming for. Mm-hmm. And then you can go, okay, how do I solve for that conclusion?
Right. Well, remember how I have always expressed going, I wish they would do more with the Arcana. If they are this big of, like, intrinsic part of the story, it feels like they would be a big part of your culture. And the fact that barely anybody, like, I mean, there's barely any other characters
anyway. The
anyway.
thing is every main character knows they exist, and some shit about them as far as we can tell. So, are they a part of regular civilian life or not?
Or is this somehow just the exceptional group that we decided to follow, and then we literally don't care about the average person, because even though you're kind of supposed to be, like, coming into the world being literally that average person who happens to be born special.
Remember our theory about Solitaire?
Yeah.
About Asra's backstory and what would be a prequel to this game where you just play Asra?
Yes.
As far as I can tell, everyone in here is connected to his life, so he may have connected them all to the Arcana.
Oh, maybe.
So if he dated all of the love interests previously, then he introduced all of them to the Arcana because he can't separate himself from it or from his experience in using it. So what he does to get to know people and get close to them is be like, okay, so there's a magic realm I go to where I talk to this person.
Right.
And when I go to yours, it's a different person.
Oh, who's that? Oh, actually, and that's why I tried to date you, is because I was trying to make the Solitaire.
I was trying to build the deck by capturing
Well,
all
I
of
started
them.
initially dating, and then I started discovering other Arcana.
It's Asra in Solitaire as card captor Sakura.
Yes! Oh my god.
Asra is there, but I don't feel his hand in mine. These bodies must be more subtle than the one I'm used to. My flash of distress is not unnoticed. Although, while I noticed aggressively the shape of his face and nothing else, he looked very distressed when I first saw him, and now he looks calm. At any rate, we're going to have to find out what his response to my distress is in the next one.
Hey! Also, though, again, like, I love this. We're not going to tell you who you are. You are distressed. Because Asra's not touching you.
Well, also, you're distressed because your senses aren't working the way you expect them to. But it's okay. We won't tell you what the reaction on your face is, but we will tell you you're distressed. It's that kind of thing. We're going, you have feels about this thing. You can decide what they are. This other thing, we're going to tell you exactly how you feel about it.
Yes, it is very funny. Anyway, but thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. If you like what we do, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and also share our videos. And thank you very much to everybody who has been doing so. Yep. It does help us out a lot.
Yeah.
Please also feel free to go check out our Ko-Fi, Patreon, and our Twitch. There are links in the description, and we'd love to see you there. And I have been Scandal.
And I have been Lies.
And it was great.
And if you would like updates on what we're doing outside of this, please check our Twitter.
Yes,
and it was great playing with you. Bye!